Hello friends, welcome to Flowverse. So in today's scenario, we are going to cover how you can do a bulk update in Lightning Flow. So let's assume that our today's scenario is that we need to give a possibility or a functionality to a user where user can select the contacts associated with any account, okay, and then he can mark the contact as either active or inactive, okay. So basically on account detail page, we want to show a tabular view where you will be showing all the contacts associated with that particular account, and then there will be a pick list. So whatever the value you select in pick list, you can do a bulk update of that status on the contacts which you will select from the tabular view. Okay, so I hope this scenario is clear. Now let's see how we are going to perform this complete functionality in Lightning Flows. Okay, so first of all, we'll go to setup and we'll click on flows, and then we'll click on new flow. Now, since it is having a UI involved, that is where we have to show a where we have to show a table, we will be selecting a screen flow. Okay. Now, here first thing what we need to do, we need to capture the current account record ID so that we can get the associated contacts. So to capture the current record ID, there is a small hack, or you can say there is a small way in the Lightning Flow which you can use. Basically, you need to create a variable with API name as record ID, okay, and its data type will be text and then available for input and output. So this variable will automatically capture the current page record ID. So if it is a record page, it will automatically capture the current page record ID. Okay. Next is we will be using a get element. Okay. So in get element, we will first fetch all the contacts associated with that particular account. Okay, so here we will keep it as contact. Our filter will be account ID equals my record ID. That is, account ID is same as the current page ID. Okay, and then I want to capture all the records, and I will automatically store in the current element. So it will automatically capture all the fields from contact. Okay, so this is done. So we our first element came as the get element. Next is we need to bring up a screen here. Okay, so screen will, so first we will give the label to the screen, let's say contact processing. Okay, now what all we need to show here, first thing we need to show is a tabular structure which will show all the contact related to that particular account. Okay, so I'll just give the name as contact list, and this also I'll give it as contact list. Okay, now our data source will be my first get element where I'm fetching the contacts. So this I will select as a data source. Okay. Next is configure rows. So configure rows, I'll keep it as multiple because I want to do bulk processing. So I want to give the user a feasibility to select more than one records on the UI. That is, it should be having checkboxes. Okay. And then we will go to configure columns. So basically what all columns we want to show in this table. Okay. So I want to show the first name of the contact. Okay. And then also I will be adding last name of the contact. I'll keep it as done, and then also I will select the status. Okay, so these three columns I want to show in the table. Okay, and then next we will go to advanced because I want to capture what all the records user has selected in the data table, right? So when you click on manually reassign variables, you get an option called selected rows. So here it will be collection of record which will store all the records which user has selected on the UI. Okay, so since it's a collection of record, we need to create a variable called, let's say, selected contact list, and then I'll keep the data type as record because it will store the record contact records. Okay, and then I will make it as allow multiple values. So basically this variable will become list, and this list can store more than one contact records. Okay, now, in the selected rows, I have added the variable that is selected contact list. So this selected contact list variable will be storing all the contact records which user has selected on the UI. Okay, so our table is done. Next is we need to add a pick list value, right? So our next component what we are going to use here is pick list. I will place it above the con data table and I'll give it as status pick list, or I'll give it as contact status. Okay, and then I will mark, and then I'll keep the data type as required, and then multiple choice. It will not be multiple choice, it will be single choice pick list. Okay, now here I need to create the choices, basically the drop down values which will come in the pick list. So I'll keep, let's say, first one as choice one. What will be the label? So label I will keep it as active. Okay, and the choice value again I will keep it as active. Okay, now we'll mark it as done. So I have added one choice variable here. Similarly, I will add one more choice variable. So this is my second drop down value which I will be giving. Let's say first I'll give the name as choice 2. Label I will give it as inactive. Okay, and here value also I'll give it as inactive. This is done. So now I have one pick list here. I have one I have one contact detail page, or so. It's a basically data table which is showing the contacts. So now I have a pick list value. I have a list of contact. Now next is I want to process this selected contacts with the pick list value or the contact status which I have selected on the drop down. Okay. So I will first click on done so that I have a screen element here. Now we have two things. We have the selected records which user has selected on the UI, and I have the pick list value. Okay. Next, I need to process on it. Okay. So for processing, what I'll do, I'll use a loop element. Okay. So loop element will basically loop on the, so basically it will loop on your list of records. So we have our list of contacts, so it will loop through it, and then we will assign the status values to the records. Okay. So I'll just give the name as contact looping, which collection variable on which I want to do. Okay, so the my collection variable will be selected contact list. Okay, so this way this is storing all the selected contacts which I have select on the UI using the multiple checklist. Okay, now I want to go from first to last item. This is done. Okay, now in for each loop, what I need to do is I need to now go and do an assignment. Okay, so in for each loop, I have to do an assignment. Basically I want to set the status value. Okay, so what I'll do here set status, and I will be using current item from contact loop dot status. Okay, so this is more like a for each loop in our Apex where you will be looping through each and every record, and then I'm setting the field value here. Okay, what will be the value here? So here my value will be uh, contact status. Okay, so whatever I am selecting from the UI, that on that is the pick list, I will be using it here. Okay, that is my contact status, and then I'll click on done. Okay, so now it will loop through complete selected records. It will assign the status value as whatever I have selected on the pick list, and then after the looping is done, the next thing what I need to do is I need to update it. Okay, so I will be using update records. Okay, and I'll be using update contacts, and now I have a collection of records on which I want to update, correct? So I'll be using selected contact list. Okay, because this selected contact list is having my updated values which I have done the assignment of the status field. Okay, so I'll click on done. So if we see in short, what we are doing is we are first fetching the records, then from the screen we are selecting the records on which we want to change the status value. Also we are trying to get the status. Okay, this is our status is our pick list what we have done here. Okay, and then next what we are doing is we are looping through it, doing an assignment of on all the selected records, and then we are just updating the contact records. Now let's save it. So I'll just use this contact update and I'll save it. So we have an error because as a version with workflow process type, you can with the flow process, so new flow. Okay, so it is asking because the contact update flow has a version. Okay, so I'll just give let's say some other name here. Okay, instead of contact update, I'll give contact bulk update. Maybe it's because of the same API name I'm already having in uh, some other flow. That's why I might be getting this error. Okay, so now this is done. Now I will activate this. Now we have created our flow, but how to launch it? So for that, we need to first place it on the account detail page. Okay, so we'll see how we can place it on the account detail page. So simply what we can do is we can go to any account. Okay, as I came to this account, now you can click on the gear icon, click on edit page, and then in the component sections you will see a component called flow. Okay, so where we want to place this flow, so I'll just place it above the opportunities in a sidebar. So I have placed it. Now which flow I need to use here? So I'll use contact bulk update. Okay. Next is you have an option here to pass the record ID to this variable. So this you need to mark it as true. Then only it will basically pass the record ID, current record ID to the flow. And then we will mark it as save. Okay. So saving is done. Now we will go back to our account page. So as you can see, it is currently showing me two two contacts I have currently in my this account, that is TechnoGeek SFDC conversion. Under this account, I have two contacts. Okay. Now let's see how our flow is going to work. So from flow, I'll select active and which one, or I'll just select both of them. Okay. And if I click on next, okay. So these two now should become active. So let's try to see if what is the final outcome. Yeah, so I think there was a small miss what we had done here. So basically, what we need to do, we need to create one more list type variable, okay, list of contact variable, and whatever the record we are updating in the in the loop, right? That we need to add it to that particular list. Okay. So what we have done is we have created a list called updated contacts and adding the uh, current record which is present in loop. Okay. So since before this assignment I have already set the status, so the updated contact list will be having the latest copy of the record, which will be having the updated status value as well. Okay, and then we will be updating this particular record. Okay, so we'll be having update record, and then at the end we will just add one screen element. Let's say if everything is fine, we'll just add one screen element, something like success message. Okay, and here we will use a display text, and display text will be, let's say I'll give success msg, and I'll give the value as contact updated successfully. Okay, I'll just name this as C. Okay, and then I'll just give it some bigger size here. Okay, and then I'll make it as bold, and the color which I want to give here is something like this, the green color. Okay, header I will hide the header. Uh, so this is we'll mark it as done. Okay, Now we will save this and now we will activate this flow. Okay. Now let's try to rerun this. Now again we will select the value as active. Currently all the statuses are inactive. So I'll select it as active. I'll select on all the contacts I want to update and then I'll click on next. So it is telling me the contact updated successfully. I'll just click on finish and now if you can see all the statuses has been updated to active. Okay. So this is how you can do a bulk update in a lightning flow where you can use the for each loop and then you can use a data table to give the feasibility to user to provide some inputs on it. Okay, so I hope you liked this video. You got a good idea of how you can use a bulkification in the lightning flows and how you can tackle these types of scenarios, right? So with this we will wrap up today's video. Please do like, share and subscribe to the Flowverse, and also, you can give the comment if you want any of the functionalities you want to cover, or if any of the scenario you want to cover, you can give this in the comment and we will definitely try to make a video on that. Okay, so with this, we will wrap up today's video. Thanks for your time. Bye bye.